if you couldn't manage to lead them, then you might think, what's stopping me being able to lead this person? Because if they're engaged with you, you should be able to end up leading them. If it's too extreme, you won't. So you can't sort of build rapport with someone and then suddenly slap yourself around the face and hope that they copy you, because most people don't copy you. But you could build rapport with somebody and then make a subtle change that it sort of makes sense to them as the next step. So it could be that it doesn't make sense to them to become that confident person yet. Maybe the thought of it is enough. Yeah, they're resistant to the idea of being confident because they don't believe they can be, or whatever it is. Maybe they just don't want to follow that yet, and they just don't go with it. But even with hypnosis, obviously, Erickson had that the situation where some doctors wanted to know how he did hypnosis. They couldn't figure out from watching him. They'd audio recorded him, but they couldn't figure out from watching him how he'd hypnotised the person on stage. So they took the recording home and they were playing it at home and they listened to it over and over and over again. And then the child came in and said, "Daddy, why is that man breathing that person to sleep?" And then the doctors, thought the child was stupid, said to Erickson jokingly, "Oh, my child thought that you somehow breathed them to sleep." And Erickson said, "That's right." "What do you mean?" "I breathed the same as them and breathed them into a trance. That's what I did." And so that's what you do. You breathe the same as somebody, and then you start putting yourself into a trance and let them follow you so that they go into a trance with you. So you defocus your eyes, you relax your shoulders, you start letting yourself go. And because you let yourself go, if you're in rapport, they then let themselves go, and then they start going there. And then as you see them go, you can then sort of nod or say that's right or whatever and start acknowledging things to help take them into a trance without ever having to start talking about trance. So it's a very good way of starting to get someone somewhere before you have to do the work. It's like there's the video of me in front of a group hypnotising somebody doing simple induction. They look at a spot over on the wall, and I'm going to count from 3 down to 1. On the count of 1, close your eyes and go inside. Then I'm going to count from 1 to 3. On the count of 3, open your eyes and look back at that spot. And I was just doing a simple induction, but to make sure it worked as effectively as possible, I said to the audience, in a moment, I'm going to ask the person next to me to close your eyes, and I'm going to ask them to go inside your mind, and I just did a whole induction on them here, and then I said, and then I'm going to say, open your eyes and look at that spot over there, and so they opened their eyes and looked at the spot, and I said, and then I'm going to say to them, with all your attention on that spot, I'm going to count from 3 down to 1, and you're going to close your eyes. And so I did the whole induction, and then I said, so you're ready for me to start now? And obviously by then their eyes were red and they'd already been hypnotised, and everyone else was sat there thinking, taking notes on what he's going to do, right? And obviously no one had paid attention to the fact that I've just been there, tested the induction on the person before doing the demonstration to see how well they'd respond to the demonstration that I'm about to do after already hypnotising them. But you can only do that by actually building rapport and sort of falling in sync with people, and then beginning to lead them. Yeah, it's that sort of leading stage. And some people don't get led very easily. Generally, kids notice. Kids are very good at noticing things, like I just mentioned with the kid noticing just on an audio tape that Erickson was breathing the same as the person. Kids notice because kids haven't learned not to notice yet. There's lots of things kids notice because they've not been told you're not supposed to mention these things or point these things out, whereas adults don't point things out. So kids notice, so you can match them for a while, but they become wise to it much, much quicker than adults. So to get kids to sleep, you can sit next to a child and you can breathe the same as them, and then you can relax your breathing and guide them into falling asleep. The trouble is that they pick up on it quicker, so if they don't fall asleep very quickly, they do end up then go and do something just to bring themselves out of it and break that rapport with you because they know something's going on and you're doing something. The other common one is you stroke their arm in time with their breathing as a way of trying to be a bit more sneaky with them. But even that, they do end up then noticing a little bit, but it takes them longer to notice because they have to think of an extra layer of communication of what's going on. But adults almost never notice these things. If you do these sort of things to adults, they're normally completely oblivious to the world around them. All these things do work with most pets. I don't know about guinea pigs and things, I've not tried it with them, but definitely cats and dogs and things like that, and horses and things like that. But it all works with them. Is you can build rapport with them, and then you can start guiding their eyes and things, and you can guide them into different states. And so you can practice all this on animals. You don't have to just practice it on other people. And you can end up with, like Abby always says, it's weird. You just seem to have this connection with every animal around you, and with every child and baby around you. They just instantly want to look at you, and you never seem to say anything to them. I don't understand it. And it's because I just think, well, why communicate verbally? There's lots of other ways of communicating, and with babies, you can match them, and then they'll latch on, especially with facial things. They'll latch on because it's a face, and then you can guide that, and you can get them to stop crying. Like a number of times that a baby's crying in someone else's arms, and I just think, I wish they'd be quiet. And the parent clearly isn't managing to make that happen, so you do it from across the room. You just sort of think, well, I'll help you out a little bit, shall I? And so from across the room, you match the baby, and you, not crying as well, obviously, but you match like
sitting in the corner of a cafe on your own, screaming your own.
So just trying to calm the baby down.
Everyone else in the cafe's like, whoa.
Exactly. But yeah, you can match the baby's breathing and stuff, and you can smile and do something that gets the baby's attention, and then guide the baby somewhere else. And, so yeah, these techniques work with animals and work with children and babies. But the other one is, who do you build rapport with first? So say you're doing family therapy, which you could end up with families that you're working with, or multiple people or couples or whatever. The trick is to find out who out of that couple or that family is the one doing all of the leading. Who is everyone else already copying? Because they're the one you need to get. The same in a group. If there's a group of people, it's the one who's doing, the one that everyone else is already copying is the one you want to get. Because if you can get them, everyone else copies them already. So you only have to get one of them. So for example, if it's a family, the chances are it's normally the parent, one of the parents, that's the one to copy. Not always. There's sometimes that the child's the one in control in the house and everyone's copying the child. But normally, on some level, it's the parent. So if you find who to copy, and I've done this, like I made a trip up to London and sat reading one of my Erickson books, Hypnotherapy. So it had hypnotherapy written on the spine, so they should have guessed that I was going to manipulate them. Sat there, and there's a mother and daughter sat opposite me on the train, and obviously the table bit between us. And so I matched the breathing of the mother, and then started, while I was just actually staring at the book, I just had it open, I wasn't really reading it at that point. So I started matching the mother, and knowing the daughter was already in sync with the mother, so knowing the daughter would copy the mother. So started matching the mother, started putting the mother into a trance, and so behind the book I'm starting to drop off into a trance, and then the mother started to, I've come over really sleepy, I just want to close my eyes and rest. And then daughter's saying, yeah, me too, I really want to close my eyes and rest. So at that point, obviously, I'm raising up the book, because I'm smirking a bit now, raising up the book and then thinking, the other side of this book says hypnotherapy. Could be a giveaway. But thinking, me smiling is even, they'll just think, you're weird, why are you smiling at mother and daughter, why are you smiling at us? And then they both eventually closed their eyes and just sort of zonked out, except the daughter's phone kept going and text messages kept coming through, and so she kept coming out, going, and then it'd go again. So you can practice this in all sorts of environments, and but try and pick the person who's the leader, so to speak. So not leader in the sense of necessarily the person who is leading, but the person who everyone's looking up to or everyone's choosing to copy. So Erickson did this with, when he decided to practice this whole breathing thing, he had a lecturer that he didn't particularly get on well with. And so he thought he would sit at the front of the room and he would smile at them and he would nod his head and he would build rapport with them. And so he did that, and then he learned the breathing pattern of a stutterer. So he built rapport with them, he started breathing the same as them, so they started then following his lead, and he then started stuttering, doing a breathing pattern of a stutterer, and they started stuttering and unable to get their lecture out. So that sort of thing he was doing as a sort of 18, 19, 20-year-old to practice these techniques, that he would do things like learn breathing patterns of specific types of things like stuttering, so that you can implant those as a practicing tool.
If you enjoy this, find it helpful, just subscribe below, and please leave a comment and give it a thumbs up.